Russ Mitchell actually joins us right now. He's in Studio A with Cleveland Mayor Justin Bibb and Police Chief Wayne Drummond to talk about this because, Russ, a lot of people are frightened. They're upset that this happened in downtown Cleveland. So we'll toss it over to you now.
A lot to talk about, Laura and Isabel. Thank you so much. And yes, joining me right now are Mayor Justin Bibb and Chief Wayne Drummond. Thank you both for coming in. I know it's been an incredibly busy 24 hours. Chief, I'm going to begin with you. Give us the latest on the West 6th investigation. Do you have a suspect in custody?
We have pretty good leads right now, and the investigators, including Commander Tucker of D3, are doing their very best right now to track down some leads, some camera footage, as well as just information that's coming in from Crime Stoppers.
In terms of where you are in the investigation, you touched on this, but how close are you, do you think, to making an arrest in this?
Well, right now, again, it's still under investigation. We have some really promising leads, but hopefully a little bit later today, tomorrow, we'll have more information to divulge to the public.
Mayor, in the news conference yesterday, you were quite passionate on how you said you're tired of getting calls in the middle of the night. We're tired of community members telling you that they're scared. How frustrating is this for you?
Very frustrating, also very sad and angry about the level of violence that we're seeing in our city. I know we're better than this as a people. I know we're better than this as a community. And we have a lot of work to do to change the culture of guns, not just in Cleveland, but across the state and across the country. And I know that Chief Wayne Drummond and the men and women of our police department are doing everything they can to cut down on violent crime, but we must do more. And we're going to continue to be aggressive, and we want to let the residents of our city know that we're not going to spare any expense to bring this person to justice.
You have talked about your policies, of course, for the last year and a half since you have been mayor. Taking some stats, the latest stats from June 1st, there have been 70 homicides in Cleveland. There were 63 a year ago at that time. And again, I know you have talked about crime being a priority of your administration, but people are asking today, and I'll ask you, are your policies failing?
No. First and foremost, I would say a couple things. Number one, we have a dangerous flow of illegal guns flowing into our city. And there are state policies and federal policies that have made it harder for us to track down on the flow of guns in our community. Secondly, we are going to continue to invest in our police department. Last year, we negotiated the largest pay increase in modern history for the men and women of our police department. We're in early conversations with union leadership about making sure we can have additional investments to attract and retain new officers to address the shortage we're seeing in Cleveland and really across the nation in our police department.
I want to come back to that, but let me ask you again, why aren't these policies working so far? At least the numbers show that they are not working.
We have a gun problem. And solving violent crime is a complex, nuanced issue. We are doing everything we can at City Hall, and we're going to continue to do everything we can in terms of being more aggressive, working with the FBI and U.S. Marshals to get violent criminals off our streets. But we have more work to do, and everyone in our community must step up.
Much of the talk today continues to center around the fact that the Cleveland Police Department is down some 230 officers. I believe the last recruiting class was only 9 officers. But Chief, in your news conference yesterday, you said it didn't matter how many officers that would have been out there on Saturday night. There were officers present at that site. Let me go ahead and show a clip of what you said.
Of course, we want more officers, no question about it. But today, last night, was not a matter of having enough officers. I just want to stress that.
Chief, what does it say to you that there were officers present there, but whoever this was brazen enough to do this in front of those officers and still no one has been caught?
And that's the issue, and it's important to point out, as I stated yesterday, it was not a matter of staffing. It was not a matter of having officers in place because we have officers at the Warehouse District every weekend. We enhance the numbers down there. So you have an individual that's extremely brazen, like you said, could care less about the officers being there, marked units. Lights are flashing, officers in uniform, so he can care less about any human being at that particular time. He wanted to inflict damage, and he did by shooting 9 people. We understand now 9 innocent people had nothing to do.
Not targeted. This was not a targeted.
From our investigation right now, no, that may change, but as we stand right now, Russ, no, they're not targeted.
I want to come back to this in just a moment, Mayor, but yesterday in the news conference, you in part blame Republicans for some of the gun violence in Cleveland. Let's take a listen to that.
Last summer, the Republican-led legislature in Columbus passed Senate Bill 215. And across this state, from Cleveland to Columbus in Cincinnati, we've seen an uptick in shootings across our state. We need Republicans in Columbus to give us mayors more tools to get guns off our streets.
The Republican Party, the Ohio Republican Party, responded to that today. Let me read you a portion of their statement. Unfortunately, this tragedy is just another example of skyrocketing crime under Bibb's watch. Despite the spike in crime, it appears Mayor Bibb is more focused on spending taxpayer dollars to promote himself than he is about fixing violence in his community. End quote on that. Mayor, what's your response to that?
I was elected to put people and neighborhoods first. I was elected to do everything I could to fight for Cleveland's future. And I know that the lack of common sense gun laws in our state are a major driver to violent crime. I was talking to the mayor of Columbus about this same issue yesterday afternoon. We're so frustrated because in many ways, our arms are tied behind our backs because in our local city councils, we can't pass not one bill around gun reform and common sense gun safety legislation. And I know for the men and women of our police department, they are more scared now because anyone across our state can walk the streets without a permit to have a gun. Now, I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment, but I also believe, like a majority of Ohioans, they want common sense gun legislation. And that's what I'm fighting for. And that's why early voting started today for Issue 1. That's why Issue 1 is so important, to give us big city mayors more tools to address issues facing our communities like gun violence.
Let me ask you both about an issue that a lot of Clevelanders and folks who live in Northeast Ohio are saying today. There are more people today in Northeast Ohio are saying they don't want to come to downtown Cleveland because they're scared. There are more people today than there were a week ago who live in Cleveland who say, I got to get out of here. It's just too dangerous. Mayor, what do you say to those people who feel that way?
Don't give up hope. Don't give up the fight. Chief Drummond and I are working around the clock to get more resources to keep our community safe and secure. We're talking to the FBI. We're talking to the U.S. Marshals. We're going to continue to fight for the safety of our residents. And I'm not going to spare any expense to keep our city safe.
Mayor, what do you say? I'm sorry, Chief, what do you say to people who are afraid to come downtown or those people who live here who want to move?
We have dedicated men and women who are working around the clock to keep Cleveland safe, and in particular, in downtown Cleveland. They're passionate about their jobs day in and day out. They work extremely hard. And we're leveraging our partnership, as the mayor just mentioned, with the FBI, the U.S. Marshal Service, and also we're in conversations with the State Highway Patrol to assist us in our targeted enforcement, and a part of that will be downtown as well. But it's important to understand that we have dedicated men and women in District 3 as well as the other districts are doing their very best, again, day in and day out, to provide the best possible service to keep our residents safe.
I want to go back for just a moment to the recruitment issue and more officers. You mentioned, Mayor, at your news conference yesterday that in a day or two, you would announce a major initiative to retain officers and get more officers on the force. Are you ready to do that yet?
Well, we're in early conversations with leadership at the union, the police union, CPPA, and FOP to discuss a wide range of initiatives around recruitment, retention, and deployment. Everything from new signing bonuses for new recruits to increasing academy pay, because we're in a war for good talent to make sure we can have enough officers to keep our streets safe.
When do you think you'll be able to make an announcement on that?
Really soon.
Really soon. Okay. Mayor Justin Bibb and Chief Wayne Drummond. Again, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Really
Thanks, Russ.
appreciate it.